Wuthering Waves has shit storytelling, and we're here to talk about it. Hello everyone, it is me, you the SkySkyRed, and with me is Demon Kid Icelyn.
Hello to you. Hello. It's me.
And today, we are going to talk about how bad Wuthering Waves storytelling is, and here's the format. Number 1, what's happening. Number 2, our opinions, and number 3, our takeaway. Okay, you ready? Let's start.
Let's go.
What's happening? Okay, so recently everyone's been talking about how bad Wuthering Waves story is, to the point where the developers actually are trying to implement a skip into the story, cutscenes and everything. That's very funny to me. That's very funny to me. Like, it's like they're acknowledging how bad it is. So they're like, you know what? The way to fix it is to not make you go through it. Very high IQ. But let's talk about how bad the storytelling actually is. And there is a difference between a story and storytelling. It is completely different. A good story can have bad storytelling. And what this game suffers from is bad storytelling. And I played Act 1 to 6, and I played through all of it because people say that, oh, at Act 6, it gets better. And Icelyn over here, what act are you at?
I think Act 1. Act 1 or Act 2? I don't know.
Act 2. Okay. So we're gonna talk about the different perspectives between someone who just started and someone who's at the end. Okay? So next is our opinions. Okay, so let's start with you, Icelyn.
I just started the game. Like, finally, I took it up. And immediately, one of the things that I noticed is how the game tells me terms or words that are obviously in-game only. Like, it's tied to the story, it's tied to the lore. Now, I don't mind that. I like seeing such terms because like it can make me interested or intrigued. The problem I found with this approach with Wuthering Waves is like it's one term after another. And by the 5th term I'm like, what are you saying? I cannot process the story well because are you expecting me to understand the terms based on the context of the dialogue? And the thing is, the dialogue isn't that good. The writing isn't that good. So it's hard to understand the flow to the point that I'm like, you know what? I will just let you play or just skip you. Because like when I started playing, there was still no skip. Like for some of the dialogues, there was no skip. Thankfully, there is now. Because like, okay, I've reached a point that I'm not really invested in the story and I'm just starting. I don't remember if I'm like Act 1 or like midway or something. The story isn't like gripping me much. I cannot relate to the characters yet. I will try because I'm not that done, but yeah, I don't like the writing so far. No.
For me, I actually have 2 points. One is the storytelling, and next is the characters and their characterization. Okay, so let me get into the story first. I went through Act 1 to Act 6, and because some people say, oh, you know what, Act 6 gets better. So, as I was going through the story, one part that I did like was when Scar appeared and he told the lamb story. And then, after that, it just went back to being boring. Until Act 6, it was still boring. And like Icelyn said, one of the earlier issues was the terminology and the lack of ability to make the players care all the way from Act 1 to Act 6. What do I mean by this? Like, they are constantly presenting scenes to you that feels like they're trying to make a good scene, like maybe a climatic scene or emotional scene, but they always fail to make the player care first. They're just presenting you the scene as is without any build-up, you don't feel like the scene is deserved, and it doesn't invoke any kind of emotion from you. Okay? So that is the entire biggest problem with the entire story. And even Act 6, some people say, oh, it picks up at Act 6, it gets good. I think you guys are so fucking numb to how bad the story is from Act 1 to Act 5 that when Act 6 shows that something's slightly happening, you're like, oh, it gets good. It's not good. It's still shit. Being slightly better than shit doesn't make it not shit. It's still shit. It's still extremely boring.
I see what I will expect by the time I reach that. I'm not excited. Oh my
There are
God.
still no emotions invoked. All the way up to the final battle, the only thing I felt was, oh wow, nice visuals. That's it. And after the final fight, It's not like I'm like, oh yeah, I saved the earth. Oh yeah, this was great. This is great fight. It's more like, okay, great, fantastic. I just wasted my entire time. And before anyone says, oh, you don't know the story, you skip the scenes, I could not skip the scenes. Okay, most part of part 5 and part 6 were unskippable cutscenes. You could not get out. Okay, I was suffering there the whole time, wanting to skip this boring shit. I was made to look at it, so don't you fucking tell me I skipped any scenes, okay?
Actually, yeah, same. I would have to agree that the bit with Scar, because I already got past that part, that was a bit of okay storytelling within the game. That I can accept. But like from the beginning of the game, the motivation, I don't feel the motivation yet of the main character. Like I just materialized out of somewhere. I got into this world. And personally, for me, for a story to be like okay, I have to see the motivation. I have to feel the motivation because that's what's gonna drive me to play more or get invested more. But if it's just bland characterization, like super generic plot, I don't know, I won't be like enticed to play, even to farm. Nah, I'd rather play a different game.
So yeah, so if we talk about characterization, that's my second point that I don't think much people talk about. They feel quite badly at making you care about the characters, and that is because the characters are so fucking bland, most of them. The only character that I really like the characterization of was I think Jinshi the magistrate, and maybe a bit of the general, and maybe a bit of Scar. Aside from that, most characters are very bland, and they do not really have an enduring feature where you're like, oh, this character is interesting in this way, or they went through this thing and they are more three-dimensional, okay? But they were pretty flat. They're all pretty flat. And because of this, you are not endeared to these characters, and when they do something, you don't give a shit. And I want to talk about how there were some scenes in Act 6 where it felt like they were trying to evoke emotions from you. Right? They were trying to evoke emotions from you by putting these characters in, maybe let's say they have to go through this thing or that thing. I'll just spoil you, okay? There's some scenes where this character had to stay behind to like fight off the monsters. But you're not. There's no tension in the scene where you're like, oh, do you actually have to do that? Like if you compare like anime or whatever, when they do that, they say, go ahead. I'll fend off the monsters, I'll fend off this guy. It's always very cool because there is an emotional depth. You care about this character. They are in danger. The situation is tense, and maybe that fight resolves some emotional or background story about them. Any of these scenes in Wuthering Waves does none of that. There's nothing for the characters to resolve as there are subplots. There's no emotion. There's no tension. There's no real thing about the situation that makes you think, oh, you should stay behind, or oh no, I can't believe you're staying behind, don't do it, don't sacrifice yourself. I actually do not give a shit. You wanna stay behind? I don't care. There's no tension built up, I don't care.
Oh my.
And
now I'm curious about that.
And that's what Wuthering Waves does. It presents you a scene. It does not build it up, it does not give you attention, it does not do anything to make you feel anything. The entire game suffers from presenting you like something, like they want to try something cool. They want to give you a cool or emotional scene, but they fail at building it. And so when you're presented with the scene, you don't care about the scenario or of the characters. So I think that is the game's biggest failing in terms of story mode.
I just remembered something like in terms of delivering the lines, I guess, or the way the lines are written to make them appear cool. Because in that the lion dance kid, I forgot his name again. There was this part like they were entering a battle and he was explaining something about being a beast and fighting and whatnot. I felt like they were supposed to make it look cool, like badass, but the line was so long. Like in my head, like you could have delivered a more badass phrase and you would actually look badass. But this, you just explained stuff. You just told me stuff instead of showing me how badass you can be, like a cutscene or anything. Like that was one moment where I felt like a cutscene would have been great, like after your fight. But just seeing the words, and the lines being delivered, and the delivery was, I'm so sorry, it wasn't that good for me. I didn't feel the projected epicness or coolness of the scene. It's like, okay, just please be done so that I can fight. That's it.
I think there's another flaw in the storytelling. It's really telling and not showing. It just tell you a lot of stuff like, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this is this, this is this, this is this. Okay, cool. That's not good storytelling, by the way. It's just exposition dumping.
Yeah, I do not like that. There are situations where telling is okay, but doing it over and over and over again, you're not really presenting a good visual personally for me.
So yeah, I think there's actually 3 points. One, giving us scenes that they try to make cool, but they do not build it up, or they do not give us personal character growth for any of the characters to make us care. Number 2, the characterization themselves. Most characters are pretty bland and two-dimensional, except for a few. Number 3 is the exposition dumping, and well, term dumping is quite rampant in the entire game, especially in the earlier parts. So yeah, I think these are 3 extremely fatal flaws, and honestly, any one of them is a big flaw. 3 of them combined just kills the story of any game. You just kill the story of any game. How you gonna have all 3?
Oh my god, well, at least they nailed something by
Like-
having those 3.
Okay, next, our takeaway. Icelyn, what is your takeaway?
This game was so hype. A lot of people were waiting for this game. I was not one of them, but out of curiosity, I registered and downloaded it. Now that I'm playing it, like, I gave it the benefit of the doubt. Like, I tried not to compare it with other games. I tried to enter it with like an open mind, and I did. And now that I've started playing, I'm just disappointed by the storytelling. I like myself a good story. If you fail to do that, my my interest would wane, and I wouldn't like stick long with the game. I'll just not play it. I really wish they did a better job at the storytelling part. The voice acting fine because they don't have control. I guess if they're told what to do, sure. But the way the lines were written, the way the story is written or being written, it does not sit well with me. I'm not yet that much interested in the game. Meh.
For me, well, I've said it again and again. The biggest flaw is the delivery of both the story, the characters, and the scenes. They all suck. The delivery sucks, okay? Maybe they have a good story, but the delivery sucks. Maybe they have good characters, but the delivery sucks. It's just the delivery, okay? And if any of you heard anyone saying that, oh, it gets better in Act 6, you're fucking lying to you, okay? It's still fucking boring. Don't listen to them.
Should I dare say simps for the game?
Well, okay, the thing is, there are many different peoples in the world, and they all have different tastes. And some people will like things that others don't like, and that's very normal. But none of them can objectively tell me that the storytelling is good. Because no one agrees with you. Very little people agree with you, okay? Most people agree that the storytelling sucks. This is the objective truth. And if you still like it, despite it, good. Good for you. You can like bad things, you can like bad games. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? It's up to you. But you cannot objectively tell me the storytelling is good. You're just lying
Yeah, just
to yourself.
just don't like we're not forcing you to agree with us. I don't know about Red, but personally I won't force you to agree with me. But please do not shove it down our throats that no, you're wrong, you should agree with me. The story is great, the game is great. Like no, like in as much as this is our opinion, that's yours.
Yeah, I'm just telling the truth, man. The storytelling this is just fundamental truth. You can deny.
People
can
are gonna
lie,
come
but
after
can't
you.
deny it.
You're gonna get so roasted in the comments. My fucking god. But yeah, that's my takeaway for this topic.
Wait, I'm not done.
Such a sub.
And the action is very fun. The action is very
Oh
fun.
yes. Yes. The combat is good. I like the combat. I like the dodging, even though I ran out
It
of
was
stamina.
better than I expected, and that's really saying something. I really do love the combat. It's so satisfying. It'll be like a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. Action-wise, fantastic. Honestly, if they just removed the entire story of this game and just left the action, I would have no complaints about it at all.
Just leave into fights, just leave the combat. So, like,
Yes, yes.
just skip the story. Oh my gosh.
So if you look
Man.
at this game as just an action fighting game and not as any sort of RPG or story-driven game, you'll be fine. You will love the game. Yeah, that's just what I think. Like that's the most optimal way to think of this game. Not as an action RPG like they advertise, just action.
Just fighting. Violence is answer and key.
I mean, think about it, right? If they completely remove the story, will you have any complaints about this game?
Nah.
Exactly.
As long as the fights remain, yeah, I'll be fine with the fights. The combat is actually really good for me.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
yes.
Just remove the story and no one will have any complaints about this game. It'll be the best game of 2024.
Game of the year. It will just feel like a battle royale or something.
So,
Yeah.
in further updates, I suspect they will give you more story, but I think it'll be pretty hard to save the story. Even if they somehow, got new storytellers, like writers, to make the story good after chapter 6, the fact remains that people still have to sit through chapter 1 to 6 to get to that point, and that's very annoying. Unless they included skip for the actual cutscenes as well.
I'm
They
pretty
might.
sure
I think they
will.
might.
They
No,
will.
I think they might. But
I
yeah.
hope.
So honestly, yeah, my takeaway is many flaws, but if you look at it as just a fighting game, fantastic game.
10 out of 10. Nice comeback.
Okay, that's it.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Such a somber tone for a video.
Remember guys, you can have whatever story you want. You can have a complicated story or simple story. Storytelling is everything. It ruins the story if it's bad. Okay, good game. Goodbye.
Yay!
Hey everyone, it's me, here with the SkySkyRed. If you liked the video, remember to subscribe. And if you don't like the video, subscribe anyway and talk shit about me in the comments, okay? Good game, goodbye.